you're about to go to sleep and then you have all these thoughts swarming inside your head. There's so many, and you're like, oh my gosh, there's so many, and then boom, they'll click to create one big idea. Yeah, that's how I'm here. I have a big idea that I have to share because it's probably the best thing that I've ever thought of in my 16 years of living. So, let's roll. Hey guys, and welcome to my very first video of Late Night Yap Sessions with me, Iman. Okay, so this is a big idea that I'm talking about. So basically, it kind of stems back to my English class at school. So we are assigned a book club book to read, and I finished reading the book, and I was like, whoa, the message of this book relates back to another book series I read and a TV show I watched, which I thought was really cool because all three of them are very different, and you'll see in a second what I mean by very different. They're all very different genres, and whatnot. And so, but seeing how each of them have the same kind of message that you can create the big idea is, I think it's really cool. And I'm not gonna spoil the big idea because one, it's pretty obvious when I start talking about it. And also, I just want to keep it a surprise because why not? Okay, so let's get into it. Very first book, we have Salt of the Sea. Okay, so now that I kind of promoted the book, it's time to get to like the actual thing I'm trying to talk about. There we go. Okay, so this book is a World War II book. So it is set in the 1940s. Okay, and we have 4 teenagers, and one of them is Alfred. He is a German Nazi soldier. We do not talk about him. We do not speak about him. He is literally irrelevant in the conversation. We hate him. You can kick him goodbye. So, anyways, the other 3, you have Florian, Joanna, and Amelia. In the beginning, they're all very in their own life, but then they slowly kind of come together to create this group with a couple of other people. And this group, of course, they're all going to be very skeptical of each other because you're in the middle of war. And when you meet random people, you can't just immediately like click, become bestie with each other, So it takes time for everybody to bond and come together. But once they do, it's really beautiful. It's really good to see, It makes them realize that they're lucky to have each other because when they, like throughout the book, you'll see lots of people who are by themselves, who are younger, older, and they're just like, wow, if we weren't together, we would have been dead. That's basically what each of them say in their own way. So that's kind of what they realize. They kind of realize that you should never take the friendships you make for granted. That's basically the message out of this book. And I will now be sharing some text evidence to like show you guys that I'm actually legit and I'm not making stuff up. On page 152, and I may be going to page 153 if I feel like okay. Anyways, but we'll get to that later. This is also Joanna's point of view, and I may be pronouncing some of the words wrong, so don't come at me. It's also like really late at night, so please don't come at me. Okay, here we go. We arrived in Gotenhafen at dusk, our faces red and chapped from the wind on the water. Amelia had been sick through most of the boat trip, but insisted she was fine. Her face was the color of phlegm as we walked into the port. She held onto the sleeve of the German to steady herself. We needed to find a place for her to rest, something for her to eat. For weeks we had trekked to get to the port. Nothing could have prepared us for what we found there. Horses and animals, lost or abandoned by their owners, roamed helpless in the streets. Gray naval supply trucks zoomed about. Crates, boxes, luggage, and provisions lined the quays. So here, you can see they've made it to the port where they need to get on the boat. Okay, so the goal of the entire group is to get on the boat to get to Germany, because they're escaping from the Soviets. So they reach the port, and of course there's so many people, and they are all together, and it's not explicitly stated, but you can tell by the actions of each character how dependent they are from each other. Like Amelia, she holds on to the German, who is Florian. And that's because in the very beginning, Florian saves Amelia from a Russian who's trying to attack her. So she's a little more closer to him, you know. And towards the end, on page 154, you have that little wholesome moment, you know, which they all start like laughing, and they're like making fun of this one lady, and you know, and everybody starts laughing, and the German guy, Florian, he was very to himself. And then he kind of makes a joke. He's the first time he's ever spoken. Hold on. Let me see if I can find it. I found it. Okay. And then from behind the group came his voice. "Careful, Klaus. You could sell that information," said the German. I tried not to, but I couldn't help it. I laughed. The wandering boy started to giggle. Eva burst out laughing. And then the most amazing thing happened. The German smiled and laughed hard. When I read this part, I was like, oh my gosh, this is one of those wholesome moments, you know, that you need, especially in like very intense books like this. If you don't have this, then you're like emotionally, but you know, it shows how even in times of distress, that you can find little moments like this where you can laugh, right? To keep a more positive and upbeat vibe, you know? And it also shows the character development of Florian, how he is a little bit more comfortable. You know, he starts laughing. That's like the first time he's ever laughed. The other times he has not spoken to the group. He has been more to himself. He's very hard. He has like that tough guy type of thing. He's like, yeah, I'm so nonchalant, I'm tough. He's really not. He's like, okay, I can't spoil it. But yeah, it shows, you know, the closest of the group and how they, you know, find the good moments in bad times. Okay, so that was this one. And next, we shall be going on to Harry Potter. This is my favorite series. Oh, I'm obsessed with Harry Potter. Okay, so this one, the main message here is loyalty and trust are one of the keys to a lifelong friendship. And I shall be showcasing that here. I will not be giving a in-depth thing because I think we all know what Harry Potter's about. And this one's more about like the friendship, so I don't think we really need it. Okay, this is page 96. Here we go. I've also modified my parents' memory so that they're convinced they're really called Wendell and Monica Wilkins, that their life's ambition is to move to Australia, which they have now done. That's to make it more difficult for Voldemort to track them down and interrogate them about me, or you, because unfortunately I've told them quite a bit about you. Okay, so this is where Hermione obliviates her parents. That basically means she erased their memories. And that is a big thing to do. She did that because she wanted to keep her friends safe. She wanted to keep her family safe. And she wouldn't have done that if she hadn't trusted Harry, right? And so doing this big of a thing is what, you know, that's the thing where you're like, you make the other person realize, man, this person will do anything for me. And that kind of goes back to my message. And then next we will be going to the part where Ron he gets mad, and then he just decides to dip the friend group, and he's like, yeah, I don't want to see y'all. But then he comes back and he saves Harry from the Horcrux thing. And this is on, okay, this one is multiple pages. This one is page 3, 81. Okay. I wanted to come back the minute I disapparated, but I walked straight into a gang of snatchers, Hermione, and I couldn't go anywhere. And then, later, in page 382, Ron says, anyway, they had a row about whether I was Stan or not. It was a bit pathetic, to be honest, but there were still 5 of them and only 1 of me, and they'd taken my wand. Then 2 of them got into a fight, and while the others were distracted, I managed to hit the one holding me in the stomach, grabbed his wand, disarmed the bloke holding mine, and disapparated. I didn't do it so well, splintched myself again. Ron held up his right hand to show 2 missing fingernails. Hermione raised her eyebrows coldly, and I came out miles from where you were. By the time I got back to that bit of riverbank where we'd been, you'd gone. Okay, so this shows how Ron, what's the word? Yeah, I'm looking for. Yes, he takes accountability of what he's done wrong because he knew he was acting immature and he came back. And not only did he just come back, he had to go through a lot to come back. You know, his fingernails broke off and he had to walk through miles. He got like captured by this gang and whatnot. And again, if you weren't really close to people, would you really go through all that trouble just to meet somebody? I don't think so, right? You would only do that if you really loved somebody. And again, that is built through trust and loyalty. And yeah, that is basically the text evidence for Harry Potter. And next will be about the TV shows. Okay, so the very last piece of text episode evidence that we will be talking about is Friends. So hang tight, this is gonna be so much fun, and especially because I will be showing the video form of evidence if I can find it, which I think I should be able to. Okay, so I will make this quick because this is already really long. Miss Friend, I'm so sorry that you have to go. Please don't fail me for this. Please. How can you do this? Okay, anyways, let's go quick. Okay, so the message that I've gotten from this show is that the ones that leave you, oh my god, I did it again. Oh my goodness. Sorry, that was it. The ones who love you never leave you. There we go. Okay. So, we see this in Ross and Rachel's whole thingy. They're very complicated. So we'll start off with season 2, episode 14, which is the one with the prom video. Okay. So here, the old group, or not the old, oh my god, the group, they find an old tape of Ross and Rachel going to prom. Rachel's prom date is late, and so Ross's parents is like, okay, Ross, why don't you take Rachel to prom? And Ross is completely okay with that. He gets ready really fast, and he's like, oh my gosh, I can't wait to take her, because he has a huge crush on Rachel, and he still does at that moment. And he gets ready and all, and then guess who appears? Rachel's bum date. And she's really immature, so she dipped Ross to go with her OG date. That's gotta suck, because trust me, I felt that before. But that's not the point. But we know that Ross was obviously heartbroken, and of course in that moment he probably felt embarrassed, right? But of course, the time of the prom thing and the time that they are now, there's a huge gap. They've both matured, Rachel especially, and so she realizes, hey, what I did wasn't right. And she kind of goes up to him, and they kind of have this little mature talk, adult talk, like, hey, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have done that. And you kind of see that, that they're starting to, and this one it relates back to the message, because it shows that Ross, even though that she did that to her, he still forgave her, and that he never really truly gave up on her. And this kind of leads into my other episode evidence. Oh, also, before we move on, here's the video evidence right here.
Rachel, ready or not, here comes your knight in shining. Oh no.
Bye! Oh dear. Jack, how do I turn this off?
Press the button.
Which one? Which button, Jack?
The button, the button.
I can't believe you did that.
So now that you've seen that, we can this kind of leads on to my second evidence. Like, I'm building off of it. So the next one is the very last episode. So season 10, episode 17 through 18. This is the last episode of the entire show. This is called The Last One. So here, and so, okay, a little context throughout the entire seasons, all 10 seasons, Ross and Rachel's relationship is, I don't know what's happening. They're together, they're not together, they're dating different people, and then, yeah, it's really complicated. But in the very last episode, Rachel is offered a job in Paris, and she takes it, obviously, because new life, more money, and just start on a new fresh page. So she goes on the plane, and Ross tries to stop her, but he's a bit too late because she's already boarded on the plane. And then he goes back to his apartment, and he's really, really upset. And he tries calling the airport people and like, hey, wait, she's still on the plane. Did you leave yet? This and that, this and that. And then it cuts to Rachel right behind him saying, I never left. Or I left. Or something here. Here's the video.
Come on, miss, isn't there any way that you can just let me off the...
No! No! Oh my God. Did she get off the plane? Did she get off the plane?
I got off the plane.
She got off the plane.
Okay, so now have you seen that? So sweet. I literally cried here. Oh my gosh, it's so... Okay, anyways, I'm getting off track. But, you know, it shows that if you really love somebody, you will not leave them. And you can see that in Ross and Rachel's relationship. Like, they both leave, like, even though they leave each other, they always come back. And even though they both keep denying it, they're like, no, I don't love you, I don't love you, I don't love you. They always end up coming back to each other. Because deep down, they do love each other, you know? And, okay, so what is the big idea that I have been talking about that literally woke me up in the middle of my sleep to make this video about? It's friendship. If you haven't already guessed it, it's friendship. So, but you may be wondering, what's the main message? If we have the big idea and we have all the sub messages, what do all those messages say? So, from Salt to the Sea by Ruta Sepetys, Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows by J.K. Rowling, and Friends by David Crane and Marta Kaufman, all demonstrate that a true friend is your greatest refuge. Pretty deep. Yeah, it came up from here. So, what does that mean? That means that you can always go to your friend for literally anything, whether it's for a good thing, or if you're sad, or if you're angry, or you want to celebrate something, your friend is always going to be there for you. And we see that in all of this. Here we have the group being together, and they're all going to each other for stuff, right? Like, the little kid goes to Klaus, Klaus is the little kid. The little kid goes to the shoemaker, right? He seeks refuge from him. And then Amelia and Joanna, or them two, go together because Amelia is pregnant and she needs help, and Joanna provides that help to her. And then in Harry Potter, we see most of it, the text evidence that I've shown, is her Harry relying on Hermione to help him through whatever he's dealing with, right? Like with his parents and whatnot. And in Friends, even though what I said, or most of my evidence, was mostly about love, none of their relationships would have been where they are if it hadn't been for their friendships. Because if you can't have a good relationship unless you don't have the friendship foundation down. And so they always go back to each other. It's always just you're going back to your friend, and you know. So all 3 of these texts show that. And I picked these 3 because they all have it's really beautiful and unique connections that I really love. And I thought it showed that really well. So, yeah, that's kind of the big idea moment that I had. I'm pretty genius of me. So yeah, that's basically all for my video. I'm so sorry, Miss Friend, if this was so long. I'm so sorry. Please don't fail me. Please. I hope you enjoyed. I hope y'all enjoyed. For more late night yap sessions that are not that aren't very educational, more like just yap sessions, please like and subscribe and click that notification bell for more videos. Hope you enjoyed. Now I have to go sleep. Cheers.